I grip the steering wheel tighter as the iron gates of my parents' estate swing open. The drive up to their Connecticut mansion always feels like entering another world, one where I perpetually stand on the outside looking in. The autumn leaves crunch under my tires, a symphony of gold and crimson that clashes with the hollow feeling in my chest. My charcoal pencil skirt and burgundy blouse are tasteful but understated, a deliberate choice for their 35th anniversary celebration. I know from experience that my mother prefers me to blend into the background rather than stand out. Before I can even collect my purse from the passenger seat, Eliza's silver Mercedes pulls up behind me. I watch in the rearview mirror as she emerges in a shimmering gold dress that catches the late afternoon sun. Perfect timing, as always. The front door swings open. My father stands tall in his tailored suit, my mother radiant beside him in pale blue silk. Their faces light up as Eliza floats toward them. "There's our princess!" Mom calls out, arms outstretched. Dad wraps Eliza in a bear hug, lifting her slightly off her feet. The guest of honor arrives. I step out of my car, smoothing my skirt. Mom glances over Eliza's shoulder, her smile dimming just enough that only I would notice. "Veronica, you made it." A statement, not an exclamation. Dad offers a quick pat on my shoulder before turning back to Eliza. "Sweetheart, wait until you see the decorations. We've outdone ourselves this year." Inside, the grand foyer sparkles with crystal and silver. White roses and lilies spill from oversized vases, their scent almost overpowering. A string quartet plays softly in the corner. Nothing but the best for Robert and Eleanor White's anniversary. I scan the entrance to the dining room, where a framed seating chart sits on an antique stand. My finger traces the elegant calligraphy until I find my name table 14, far corner, near the kitchen doors, 6 tables away from my parents and Eliza. "We wanted to make sure you could network," Mom says, suddenly beside me. "The Hendersons will be at your table. They're always looking for tech consultants." I nod, swallowing the familiar ache. How thoughtful. She pats my arm distractedly before floating away to greet early arrivals. The event planner, a rail-thin woman with a clipboard permanently attached to her hand, corners my mother near the grand staircase. I move toward the bar, but their voices carry across the marble floor. "About the photographs, Mrs. White," the planner says. "We've scheduled the photographer for 7:30. Will that work for the family portraits?" My mother's voice drops to a stage whisper. "That's fine. But make sure we get one with just the 3 of us, Robert, myself, and Eliza. That's the one we'll want enlarged for the living room." My hand freezes around the champagne flute a server has just handed me. The 3 of them, not 4, never 4. The waiter, a young man with kind eyes, notices my expression. He tops off my glass with a sympathetic glance before discreetly moving away. I retreat to a window alcove, memories washing over me unbidden. Thanksgiving dinner, age 8, seated at the kids' table while Eliza, just 5, sat proudly between Mom and Dad. Christmas mornings where Eliza's pile of gifts dwarfed mine, spilling across the living room floor while mine fit neatly under a single tree branch. My high school debate championship, where my parents arrived during the closing remarks, having sat through all of Eliza's elementary school choir practice beforehand. The pattern was established early and never wavered. Veronica, the afterthought. Eliza, the cherished center. By 16, I had found my escape in dog-eared business books borrowed from the library. While Eliza collected ribbons for participation in various hobbies she quickly abandoned, I drafted business plans at our kitchen table. "A student concierge service?" Dad had laughed, barely glancing at my detailed proposal. "Honey, focus on your studies. Leave the business ideas to the professionals." That same month, Eliza's watercolor of our house windows, unevenly spaced, proportions impossible, was professionally framed and hung in the front hallway. My Regional Young Entrepreneur Award collected dust in my bedroom closet. The doorbell chimes again. Guests pour in, gravitating naturally toward Eliza's tinkling laugh in the center of the room. I drift toward the edges, helping Aunt Susan find her seat, showing Uncle William where the restrooms are located. "Veronica." My father calls, not quite looking at me as he passes. "Make sure the caterers don't forget the special champagne for the toast. The Veuve, not the Moet." I straighten my spine and nod. Of course. Not a guest to be celebrated, not a daughter to be cherished. Just another set of hands to ensure the celebration runs smoothly. A celebration where I'm simply another face in the crowd, watching the real family from afar. 15 minutes later, after guests assembled, the clink of silverware against crystal quiets as my father rises from his seat at the head of the table. His silver hair catches the chandelier light, and his custom tuxedo hugs his still athletic frame. He raises his glass, and the room holds its collective breath. 35 years, he begins, his voice carrying to every corner of the dining room. 35 years of building a legacy, a home, and a family. His gaze sweeps the room before landing on Eliza, his eyes crinkling at the corners. And nothing represents that legacy better than our beautiful daughters, especially our Eliza, who brings sunshine wherever she goes. I maintain my smile, practiced over decades, as he launches into a story about 5-year-old Eliza singing at their 20th anniversary. No mention of 15-year-old me who organized the entire surprise party. The story winds through Eliza's college graduation, her volunteer work with children, her artistic pursuits. 10 minutes pass. My name never crosses his lips. To Eleanor, my rock, my heart, Dad raises his glass higher. And to Eliza, the greatest gift our marriage has produced. Mother rises, tears gleaming, and wraps Eliza in a lingering embrace, pearls against gold as their dresses press together. The guests applaud. I join them, my hands meeting in silent rhythm while I stand alone. Across the room, Cousin Thomas catches my eye. He offers a slight shake of his head, barely perceptible before looking away. Aunt Barbara suddenly becomes engrossed in her napkin. Uncle Philip examines his watch with unusual intensity. They know. They've always known. I exhale slowly, my lungs releasing air in carefully measured amounts. My face remains composed. CEO face, James calls it. The one that reveals nothing during negotiations, when millions hang in the balance. Tonight it masks something far more valuable than money. And now, Dad announces, a special presentation. Mother produces a red leather box from beneath the table. The distinctive Cartier packaging gleams under the lights. The room stills. Even the waitstaff pauses. For the true fruit of our 35 years together, Father proclaims, his voice thick with emotion. He places the box in Eliza's manicured hands. Something as precious and timeless as you are to us. Eliza's fingers tremble as she lifts the lid. Nestled against white satin lies a watch encrusted with diamonds that catch fire in the light. The guests gasp in unison. The Santos de Cartier, my father announces proudly. Custom designed with Eleanor's birthstone at the 12. Someone whispers the price, $15,000, and a murmur ripples through the crowd. Eliza squeals, launching herself into our parents' arms. They form a perfect tableau of family devotion, while I stand sentry at my assigned table near the kitchen doors. No acknowledgement of the daughter who shares their name, but apparently not their hearts. No second box waits beneath the table. No surprise for the firstborn. When the applause fades, I slip toward the bar. Aunt Margaret intercepts me, her arthritic fingers closing around my wrist. Join me for some air, dear? It's not really a question. On the terrace, autumn air clears the scent of lilies from my lungs. Margaret settles her substantial frame onto a stone bench. Did you know? She begins without preamble. That this is the third luxury gift they've given her this year? First the spa weekend in February, then the summer in France. My eyebrows rise. Summer in France? She told everyone she won that trip. Margaret snorts. Robert paid for everything, just like he's been paying the rent on her independent apartment these past 3 years. Cold certainty settles in my stomach. The puzzle pieces shift, revealing a clearer picture. That explains why my Series C funding announcement disappeared from the family newsletter. I murmur. The same month, Eliza started selling homemade soaps at the farmer's market. Your mother called it a hobby update. Your $40 million investment round was mentioned in paragraph 12, below Philip Jr.'s soccer tournament. My phone buzzes in my clutch. James's name flashes on the screen alongside his message. How's the royal coronation going? Escape plan ready when you need it. A smile, genuine this time, tugs at my lips. I quickly tap back. Standing by. May need extraction before dessert. Uncle William appears beside us, crystal tumbler in hand. His eyes, so like my father's, hold a softness his brothers never show when looking at me. Quite a watch, he says, settling beside Margaret. Almost as impressive as that tech prize you won last month. Shame they didn't mention it in the toast. Innovation Leadership Award. I correct gently. And it's fine. William leans closer, bourbon warming his words. You know your success makes them uncomfortable, dear. Always has. The waiter from earlier appears, champagne bottle at the ready. He tops off my glass with a subtle nod. moving on before anyone notices his special attention. A small kindness in a sea of orchestrated slights. Sarah, my childhood friend, catches my eye from across the terrace and makes her way over. She's aged well, her familiar face a welcome sight among the polished strangers my parents call friends. "I saw the whole thing," she whispers, squeezing my hand. "Want to sneak out the back like junior prom?" Before I can answer, my phone rings, my assistant's special tone. "Veronica White," I answer, business voice firmly in place. "Miss White, I know you're at a family event," Alexis says, following our pre-arranged script, "but there's an urgent situation with the Singapore client." "I understand. Give me 10 minutes. As I slip the phone back into my clutch, the event planner's voice rings out across the terrace. "Family photos on the grand staircase. Everyone please gather in the foyer." The guests flow inside, a river of silk and cologne. I follow, finding my assigned mark on the lowest step. Mother adjusts Eliza's hair, Dad straightens his tie, and the photographer positions us with practiced efficiency. I stand at the far edge, half my body already outside the frame. Flash, click. "Done. Now," Mother says, her voice carrying in the marbled space, "just the three of us for the special portrait." She doesn't look at me as she says it. Doesn't need to. The instruction hangs in the air, clear in its meaning. I stand frozen as they rearrange themselves, mother, father, favored daughter in the center of the staircase. The real family, the complete family, without me. The photographer adjusts his settings. The guests watch. No one speaks. I remain exactly where I am, neither retreating nor protesting, as the final photos are taken. The image will hang in the living room, I know. A permanent record of where I stand in the White family hierarchy, nowhere at all. I slip away from the party when Mom and Dad pull Eliza to the center of the room for a champagne toast. I immediately withdraw to the father's home office, log into my email, and call my assistant back to solve the work issue. After 15 minutes of checking every chart, every slide, every explanation, we send the new proposal to the clients and I want to take a small rest. My footsteps echo through the hallway as I climb the familiar staircase to my childhood bedroom. Just a moment of peace, that's all I need. When I push open the door, the air catches in my throat. This isn't my room anymore. Eliza's pageant crowns glitter on what used to be my bookshelf. Her college sorority composites hang where my honor roll certificates once lived. The walls, formerly a soft green, now shine in Eliza's favorite lavender. They didn't even wait for me to take all of my things before they reorganized the room completely. I whisper to the empty space. My fingers trace the outline of what used to be my desk, now a vanity scattered with Eliza's makeup. The shelves overflow with trophies from activities she abandoned after a month. Her childhood teddy bears occupy the window seat where I spent countless hours reading. I open the closet, the last place anything of mine might remain. A cardboard box sits in the corner, labeled Veronica Misk. Inside, my college diplomas rest beneath my Young Entrepreneur Award. My summa cum laude tassel is tangled around my business school graduation photo. Everything that marks my accomplishments, everything that defines my journey, stuffed away like holiday decorations. A crystal clarity washes over me. Nothing will ever change. I will always be the box in the corner, the afterthought, the chair by the kitchen door. I sit on the edge of the bed, now covered in a lavender duvet. My hand brushes something hard beneath the pillow. Curious, I pull out an old book, my grandmother's copy of Jane Eyre. My name is written inside the cover in her elegant handwriting. To my Veronica, a girl who will forge her own path. With love, Grandma Margaret. I remember how Grandma would pull me aside at family gatherings, her eyes twinkling as she slipped me books, while Eliza opened mountains of gifts. Books build inner worlds, she would whisper, where nobody can tell you who to be. As I turn the pages, an envelope slips out, yellowed with age, but sealed with wax bearing my grandmother's initial. My name is written across the front. The laughter from the party drifts upstairs as I break the seal. The letter inside is dated 3 weeks before Grandma died, nearly 5 years ago. My dearest Veronica, if you're reading this, you finally sought refuge in the pages of Jane Eyre. I knew this day would come, when the weight of invisibility became too much to bear. I recognize the pattern all too well. Your grandfather's family treated me just as yours treats you, as though I were a supporting character in someone else's story. But know this, my darling. You are the protagonist of your own life. I have made arrangements with Mr. Abernathy at the bank. There is an account in your name only, containing both funds and my personal journals. The code to access it is the date we visited the Metropolitan Museum. Just the two of us. This is not about money, though that will help. This is about legacy. You are my true heir in spirit, the one who carries my determination. The quiet ones observe, learn, and ultimately succeed where the celebrated ones falter. Remember, Veronica, sometimes family is who sees you, not who shares your name. With endless faith in you, Grandma Margaret. The tears come hot and fast, blurring the words. She knew. All those years, she saw what was happening and prepared this lifeline. My grandmother, the only person in this house who ever truly saw me. I reach for my phone, needing to connect with people who value me. 3 messages await from my business partners. James. How's the family circus? Remember, our dinner reservation is still on standby if you need an escape route. Michelle. That acquisition meeting went perfectly. The board voted unanimously in your favor. You're a genius, V. Remind your family of that when they put you at the kids' table. David. We're all here when you need us. Your real family. My fingers hover over the screen before I type back. Grandma left me a letter, and apparently an inheritance. I think it's time for me to stop waiting for a place at their table. Their responses come immediately. James. About time. We've been saving you a chair at the head of ours for years. Michelle. Whatever you decide, we're with you. David. Your grandmother sounds like the only smart white besides you. I think back to how they rallied around me when we started the company. How they defended me when clients assumed James was the CEO. How they celebrated every milestone with genuine joy for my success. How different from the hollow congratulations from my parents, always followed by, but Eliza. My jaw tightens. I slide the letter into my purse and walk to the wall, where a family photo from my high school graduation hangs. I'm on the edge, as always. I remove it from the frame, carefully cut myself free from the border, and place the small photo in my wallet. In Mom's dressing room, I spot Grandma's pearl brooch pinned to a scarf borrowed years ago and never returned. I unpin it gently, feeling its weight in my palm before securing it to my blouse. Downstairs, I spot Mr. Abernathy, my parents' financial advisor, sipping champagne near the garden doors. I approach with newfound confidence. Mr. Abernathy, I believe we have some business to discuss. I hand him my card. At your convenience, of course. His eyes widen slightly as he reads, Veronica White, CEO, White Innovations. He tucks it carefully into his pocket. I've been following your company's growth. Impressive work. Your grandmother would be proud. Yes, I say softly. I believe she would. The party swirls around me as I walk through the crowd, head higher than it's been all evening. No one notices as I hand my ticket to the valet. No one sees as my car pulls away from the house. In the rearview mirror, the lights of the party grow smaller. Tears stream down my face, but my breathing steadies. My phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. Where are you? They're about to cut the cake. I don't reply. Instead, I touch Grandma's brooch, feeling its contours beneath my fingers. The road ahead is clear and open. For the first time in 32 years, I'm not driving toward my parents' approval but away from their dismissal. The empty chair I leave behind can stay empty. I have a different seat waiting for me, at a different table, with people who make room in their hearts. The crisp autumn air fills my lungs as I step out of my car at La Fontaine. The restaurant's warm golden glow spills onto the sidewalk, a beacon after the cold shadow of my parents' estate. My hands have finally stopped trembling on the steering wheel. 40 minutes of driving with tears blurring the road had been dangerous but necessary. Some distances can't be measured in miles. Through the windows, I spot them already gathered at our usual corner table. James, Caitlin, and Robert, my business partners, my chosen family. They haven't seen me yet, but they're waiting. Champagne already poured. The maitre d' spots me before I can reach the door. Miss White. We've been expecting you. His genuine smile creates crinkles around his eyes. Your friends are waiting. Shall I take your coat? Inside, the restaurant hums with quiet conversation and the gentle clink of silverware on fine china. The scents of garlic, butter, and fresh herbs replace the cloying perfume of my mother's white roses. James looks up first, his face brightening. There she is. I slide into my waiting chair, the one that's always reserved for me, not 6 tables away from the people I care about. You actually escaped, Caitlin says, reaching for my hand. We were betting on whether you'd make it before dessert. James lifts his champagne flute. To the woman who built something real, he says. While others were planning parties, you were planning the future. The words unlock something in my chest. My smile, the first authentic one of the evening, feels foreign on my face, like a muscle long unused. My phone buzzes in my purse. Then again. And again. Let me guess, Robert says, eyebrows raised. The search party has been deployed? I pull out my phone. 3 texts from Eliza, each more frantic than the last. Where did you go? Mom is furious. Are you seriously ditching the anniversary? The screen changes to an incoming call, my mother. I decline it, but her voicemail follows seconds later. Veronica, I can't believe you would cause a scene by leaving early. People are asking questions. Call me immediately. My father's message arrives next, his voice tight with controlled anger. You've missed Senator Harris and the Douglases. They were specifically asking about tech consultants. Call your mother. I set the phone face down on the table. Not one of them asked if I was okay. Of course not, James says, refilling my glass. That would require seeing you as a person rather than an extension of themselves. Another message from my mother. Emergency meeting tomorrow at 2. You cannot escape this time. The restaurant door opens. A rush of cool air accompanies 2 figures I recognize immediately. Alicia from marketing and Devin from our development team. Did we miss it? Devin asks, breathless, waving his phone. The news just broke. My stomach tightens. Already? It wasn't supposed to hit until morning. James shrugs. Someone leaked. These things happen. Every phone at our table lights up simultaneously, then nearby tables too. The notification catches like wildfire across the restaurant. Breaking. White Innovations acquired by Stellar Tech for estimated $75 M. The calls begin almost immediately. Industry contacts, former clients, college professors who remember my early ambitions, each one expressing genuine excitement for my success. The restaurant owner appears with a bottle of their finest reserve. On the house, he says. My daughter used your productivity software to finish law school. Congratulations on your success. 2 more colleagues arrive, then 3 more. Our corner of the restaurant transforms into an impromptu celebration. We have something for you, Caitlin says during a lull. She places a small, carefully wrapped package in my hands. Inside the tissue paper lies a framed photograph I've never seen before. My grandmother at my age, sitting at her desk in the small accounting practice she built during a time when women were expected to stay home. Her eyes hold the same determined glint I see in the mirror. Where did you find this? I whisper, running my finger along the silver frame. Your Aunt Margaret. She thought you should have it tonight of all nights. Later, as I came back to my apartment, I opened my laptop. The email to my family forms slowly, deliberately. No mention of the acquisition. No details they can use to make my success about them. Just clear boundaries about my participation in future family events. I left early because I needed to be where I was welcome. I wish you both a happy anniversary, but I will no longer attend events where I'm treated as an afterthought rather than a daughter. Coda. My finger hovers over the send button. Not yet. Tonight belongs to those who see my worth without needing headlines to prove it. I close the laptop. For the first time in years, the weight of expectation lifts from my shoulders. Around me, faces shine with genuine affection. No hidden agendas. No conditional love. Tomorrow will bring complications. Tonight, I'm exactly where I belong. The next day, for the meeting, I choose the Meridian for our meeting, deliberately a sleek restaurant on the 40th floor of Hartford's newest skyscraper. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the Connecticut River like artwork. A power spot. My territory, not theirs. Melissa, my executive assistant, arrives with me precisely 5 minutes before 2. Remember, she whispers, arranging files on the table. I'll signal when 30 minutes have passed. I nod, smoothing the burgundy silk blouse I selected for today. Armor, not appeasing attire. My parents arrive 7 minutes late. Mother's pearl necklace gleams against her cashmere sweater. Father's custom suit probably costs more than most people's monthly mortgage. They hesitate at the sight of Melissa, clearly thrown by her presence. I wasn't aware this was a business meeting. Father says, glancing pointedly at Melissa's portfolio. Just some documents I might need. My voice remains neutral. Melissa, Thank you for bringing these. Before they can object further, the hostess leads Eliza toward our table. My stomach tightens. Of course they brought reinforcements. Traffic was awful, Eliza says, sliding into the chair beside Mother. Her eyes dart nervously between us. The golden child sent as emotional bait. Mother dabs at her eyes before we've even ordered water. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it was? People asked where you'd gone. Any was? Family members noticed your empty seat, Father adds, leaning forward. The Hendersons specifically asked about you. The Hendersons, always the business connection. Never concern for me. I left after being excluded from the family photograph, I state simply. The one Mother specifically requested with just the three of us. Mother's hand flutters to her throat. You overheard that? It was just one photo, Veronica. Don't be dramatic. One photo that perfectly captures 32 years of family dynamics. Melissa silently slides a folder toward me. I open it, removing childhood photographs I'd collected and arranged chronologically. Christmas, 1998. I place the first photo on the table. Eliza front and center. Me, cropped halfway out of the frame. That was just a bad angle. Mother protests. I lay down another. My high school graduation. You both looking at Eliza while I hold my diploma. This is ridiculous, Father huffs. We attended, didn't we? The waiter approaches. Father orders expensive scotch. Mother requests sparkling water. Eliza mimics her choice. Just coffee, black, I tell the waiter, who nods and withdraws. Eliza leans forward, voice rehearsed. I felt attacked when you left, Veronica. Like you were punishing me for being loved. The calculated guilt trips don't work anymore. I simply wait. We told the family you had work stress, Mother finally admits. That you've been under pressure. People understand burnout. How convenient. I sip water, letting the silence stretch uncomfortably. You've rewritten my absence into something that requires neither explanation nor accountability from you. Father's face darkens. You have obligations to this family. Your grandmother would be ashamed of your behavior. My laugh surprises even me. Grandmother left me a letter, and funds specifically designated for me alone. I removed the letter from my folder. She recognized the pattern when she was still alive. Mother pales. What letter? What funds? The ones you never told me about. The inheritance I discovered after her death. Father slams his hand on the table, making the glassware jump. You and your business, playing entrepreneur instead of joining a respectable firm. You think I don't see what this is about? Attention-seeking, just like when you were little. Robert, Mother hisses, glancing around. People are starting to notice. Success has changed you, Mother says, leaning forward. You used to understand family comes first. Eliza's mascara smudges as tears form. You always needed to make everything about you. Even my moments have to become about your feelings. Their tactics might have wounded me once. Now I see them clearly for what they are: manipulation, not love. You're right about one thing, I say calmly. Success has changed me. It's shown me I deserve a seat at tables where I'm valued, not merely tolerated. I see. I place my business card in the center of the glass table. The embossed letters gleam. Veronica White, CEO, White Innovations. My company closed a $75 million acquisition last week. The news broke yesterday evening, during your celebration dinner. Their stunned expressions would be comical if they weren't so sad. If you wish to have a relationship moving forward, it will be on new terms. Equal respect. No more exclusion. No more Veronica in the corner while Eliza takes center stage. Father recovers first. Now listen here. No, I interrupt, standing. You've had 32 years to speak. I've had my say today. I gather my things while they sit frozen. Melissa follows my lead. I'd like a relationship with all of you, I say, voice softening slightly. But I no longer need one. There's a difference. Mother's hand trembles around her water glass. Father's jaw clenches. Eliza looks utterly lost, perhaps seeing for the first time how the family system worked and how it's now breaking. Congratulations again on your anniversary, I say, straightening my shoulders. I truly wish you happiness. I walk away without looking back, each step lighter than the last. Their silence follows me to the elevator, but for once, it doesn't define me. The doors slide closed on their stunned faces, and I exhale 32 years of waiting to matter. My reflection in the polished elevator doors shows something unfamiliar on my face. Peace. I stand in my penthouse kitchen, watching the spring sunset paint Hartford's skyline gold. 6 months since I walked away from my parents' anniversary dinner. 6 months of rebuilding on my terms. The antique mahogany table gleams in my dining room, set with grandmother's Wedgwood china delicate blue flowers against creamy porcelain. I trace my finger along the edge, where generations of white women once gathered. The same table where I was relegated to the far end, if invited at all. Last month, when father decided to downsize their formal dining room, I outbid everyone at the estate auction. The table came home with me, not as a peace offering, but as a reclamation. The doorbell chimes. James arrives first, a bottle of Barolo in one hand, a portfolio in the other. Latest projections for the mentorship program, he says, kissing my cheek. 28 applicants already. Women entrepreneurs who need more than just funding, I say. They need someone who sees their potential. Sarah follows with her husband, then my executive team, 2 college professors who serve on my foundation board, and my attorney Margot, who helped draft the Family Therapy Center donation in grandmother's name. While they mingle, I slip into my office where grandmother's letter hangs framed beside my window. Remember, Veronica, we choose which chairs matter. Her words guided me through my TED Talk last month, Finding Worth Beyond Family Validation. The video already has 300,000 views. My phone buzzes with a text from Eliza. They're still talking about you missing Easter dinner. Dad keeps calling it another stunt. Our cautious reconnection happens in secret texts and occasional coffee meetings. Without our parents watching, she's finding her voice, asking questions about starting community college. Small steps toward her own identity. A knock at my office door. Package just arrived for you, James says, handing me a small bubble mailer. Inside, a faded photograph Eliza and me at age 6 and 9, arms linked, laughing on a tire swing. On the back, in my sister's handwriting, we were happy before they taught us not to be. I tuck the photo into my pocket and return to my guests. They've gathered around the table, wine glasses filled, conversation flowing. No one checking their watch or measuring their words. No subtle jockeying for favor. I take my place at the head of the table. My place, not earned through manipulation or birthright, but offered freely by people who value my presence. To Veronica, James says, raising his glass, whose White Family Foundation just awarded its first scholarship to that brilliant girl from Bridgeport. To second chances, adds Sarah. I stand, feeling the weight of grandmother's brooch pinned above my heart. To chairs that matter, I say, and the people who fill them. Later, as my guests depart, I linger at the empty table. Tomorrow I'll host again, place cards already written in my hand for each person who chose me, not out of obligation but genuine connection. At the far end stands one empty chair. Not a place of exile, but a reminder of what I left behind and what I've found instead. I run my fingers across the polished wood of grandmother's table, now mine, now filled with laughter instead of judgment, with genuine interest instead of performance. The chair that matters most is the one where you're truly seen. And finally, I am. The evening sun casts long shadows across my parents' circular driveway as I pull in after a 12-hour day at Hamilton & Associates. My fingers ache from reconciling spreadsheets, my shoes pinch from too many hours at my desk, but something else catches my attention. A gleaming white Lexus SUV sits proudly in the center of the drive, complete with an oversized red bow on the hood. Madison twirls a set of keys around her finger, practically bouncing on the balls of her feet. My parents stand behind her on the porch, champagne flutes in hand, beaming like they've just won the lottery. The familiar knot of worry tightens in my stomach, the one that appears whenever my younger sister announces another fresh start. "Lauren," Madison squeals, "come see what Mom and Dad helped me get." I force a smile and climb out of my sensible Honda Civic, the one I drove through 3 promotions because it still runs perfectly fine. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Probably another work email. I'll check it later. Quite a surprise, I say, keeping my voice neutral. The spring air carries the scent of Mom's flowering crabapple trees, mixed with the crisp bite of expensive champagne. "Isn't it gorgeous?" Madison runs her hand along the pristine white paint. "They had it specially ordered. The interior is buttercream leather." My phone buzzes again. And again. The persistent vibration finally makes me pull it out. Your account balance is below $500. The notification glows on my screen like a hot coal. That can't be right. I just checked my accounts this morning. My home savings fund held $62,000, the result of 6 years of careful planning and disciplined saving. Lauren. Mom's voice sounds distant as I open my banking app. Don't you want to see inside? The numbers swim before my eyes. Where there should be 5 digits, I see $128.76. My mother's champagne glass slips from her fingers, shattering on the flagstone steps. The sound jolts me back to reality, and I look up to find my father's face has gone slack. We borrowed it, he says, his rehearsed explanation already prepared. For Madison's fresh start. The words hit me like a physical blow. Borrowed? My voice comes out barely above a whisper. From my house fund? Oh, honey. Mom waves her hand as if shooing away an annoying fly. You're so good with money, you'll bounce back in no time. I stare at Madison's designer Percy perfect match to the one hanging from Mom's arm. The same style I'd admired in a store window last month, but couldn't justify buying while saving for my house. The pieces click together like a poisoned puzzle. Madison's pattern of dropping out of college programs, the jobs she quit after a few weeks, the small loans that were never repaid. 6 months ago, I say, my voice trembling, we celebrated my promotion. You toasted my house fund goal. Dad's face hardens. Now, Lauren, family helps family. Your sister needs... Family? The word tastes bitter in my mouth. I pull out my phone again, fingers steady despite the rage building in my chest. Let's talk about family. I dial my bank's number, putting it on speaker. This is Lauren Reynolds. I need to close all family-linked accounts immediately. Mom steps forward. Lauren, don't be dramatic. I'm also on the deed to this house. I continue, my voice growing stronger. My name is on nearly everything you own. Should we discuss that too? The color drains from my father's face. Madison's keys stop their incessant jingling. I turn and walk back to my car, my sensible shoes crunching over bits of broken glass. Behind me, phones start chiming with account closure notifications. Lauren Elizabeth Reynolds. Dad's voice booms across the driveway. Get back here this instant. I pause at my car door, the metal cool under my palm. Family doesn't steal from family. The drive home passes in a blur. My knuckles turn white on the steering wheel as I grip it to keep my hands from shaking. In my rearview mirror, I watch my parents' frantic figures grow smaller, their phones pressed to their ears as they realize exactly what I meant about my name being on everything they own. The truth crashes over me in waves. Every overtime shift, every brown bag lunch, every careful budget entry, all of it stolen by the people who taught me the value of $1 in the first place. The irony would be funny if it didn't hurt so much. I park in front of my apartment building but can't bring myself to get out of the car. The sunset paints the sky in shades of amber and gold, the same colors as the champagne they were drinking to celebrate stealing my future. My phone lights up with texts and missed calls. I silence it without looking at the names. They've had their say. Now it's my turn to speak, and my actions will echo louder than their excuses ever could. 15 minutes later, the spreadsheets don't lie. My fingers hover over the keyboard as row after row of numbers fills my laptop screen. The soft glow illuminates stacks of bank statements scattered across my dining room table, each one a fresh wound. Outside my apartment window, streetlights flicker on as evening settles over Longmont, but I barely notice the passing hours. The cell phone beside me buzzes again. 27 missed calls, 43 text messages, 6 voicemails, each one cataloged in its own column of my growing document. A knock at the door makes me flinch. Lauren, I brought reinforcements. Valerie. The tension in my shoulders eases slightly as I unlock the door. My best friend stands there holding 2 massive cups of coffee, her auburn hair falling out of its usual neat bun. I got your text, she says, pressing one of the cups into my hands. The good stuff from Joe's, not that chain store sugar water you pretend to like. The coffee's warmth seeps into my palms as Valerie takes in the chaos spread across my dining room. Her eyes widen at the fortress of paperwork I've built. I need to document everything, I say, the words coming out hoarse. Every account, every transaction, every forged signature. My phone lights up with another notification. Madison's latest Instagram post, "When jealousy destroys families," with a photo of her looking tearfully into the distance. The comments section overflows with heart emojis and supportive messages. "Robert can help," Valerie says, pulling out her own phone. "He does digital forensics for that tech firm, remember? Let me call him." 2 hours later, Robert's laptop joins mine on the table. His fingers fly over the keys, following electronic breadcrumbs through years of account statements. "Look at this pattern," he says, turning his screen toward me. "Small withdrawals, $30 to $80, from joint accounts you probably forgot existed. They did their homework." Patricia arrives next, a stack of real estate documents under her arm. My colleague's familiar no-nonsense expression softens when she sees me. "I pulled everything related to your parents' property records," she says, spreading papers across the coffee table, "including documents you supposedly co-signed." My stomach lurches at the sight of my signature-perfect forgeries on loan applications I never saw. The numbers blur as I add them to my spreadsheet. $42,000 for Madison's SUV. $65,000 in home refinancing. $28,000 in student loans for degrees she never finished. The total catches in my throat, $198,476.32. "I'm going to be sick," I whisper. Valerie's hand squeezes my shoulder. "We're not done yet. We're just getting started." My phone rings Dad's number. When I don't answer, a voicemail appears seconds later. His voice booms through the speaker, alternating between threats and pleas. "Lauren Elizabeth, you're destroying this family, after everything we've done for you." I delete it before he can finish. Another message pops up, this one from Mom. "Your father had a meeting with the bank today. They're threatening foreclosure. Is this what you want? To see your family homeless?" "They're scrambling," Robert says, still typing. "Trying to move money around, but the account freezes are already in place." Madison's face appears on my Instagram feed again, this time in a tearful video. "I just don't understand how my own sister could do this to us. We're supposed to be family." The comments pour in. "Stay strong, sweetie. Families should support each other no matter what. She sounds toxic." Even the family pastor joins the chorus, his name appearing on my caller ID. I send it straight to voicemail, already knowing the message will be about forgiveness and turning the other cheek. "Your 3 o'clock is here," Patricia says, checking her watch. "William Barnes, the financial advisor?" I nod, gathering the most critical documents into a folder. The spreadsheet's final tally glows accusingly on my screen. Nearly $200,000 stolen by the people who taught me to balance my first checkbook. William arrives precisely on time, his silver hair and wire-rimmed glasses projecting exactly the kind of steady competence I need right now. He's followed by Sarah Mitchell, the attorney Patricia recommended, her heels clicking purposefully across my hardwood floor. "Let's create a strategy," Sarah says, pulling out a legal pad. 3 phases: protect, document, and prosecute. Are you ready to hear the options? I look around at the battle station my dining room has become. Valerie organized documents into categories. At Robert tracking digital trails, Patricia highlighting deed records. At the phone that won't stop buzzing with guilt trips and threats. "Yes," I say, my voice stronger than it's been in days. "I'm ready." Sarah lays out 3 forms on the table. Police reports for identity theft and fraud. My hand shakes as I pick up the pen, but the ink flows steady and true as I sign my name, a real signature, not the forged version scattered across so many documents. The final text from Mom arrives as I finish the last form. "We're about to lose everything. Is that what you want?" My finger hovers over the send button that will deliver all our evidence to the authorities. In my mind, I see Mom's champagne glass shattering on the flagstone steps. Madison twirling her new car keys. Dad's rehearsed explanation about borrowing my life savings. "A lifetime of family comes first," whispers in my ear. But as I stare at the spreadsheet documenting nearly 200,000 reasons they never really put me first at all, I know what I have to do. I press send. The silence that follows feels like standing in the eye of a hurricane. Around me, my chosen family works quietly. Valerie sorting documents, Robert tracking accounts, Patricia organizing evidence, Sarah and William planning next steps. None of them need to ask if I'm sure about this. They see the numbers. They know that some betrayals can't be forgiven just because they were committed by blood. My phone buzzes one final time. Another message from Mom. Blood is thicker than water, Lauren. Remember that. I think of the red bow on Madison's new SUV, bought with my stolen dreams. Of the matching designer purses Mom and Madison carried while I brown-bagged my lunch to save for a house. Of Dad's signature practicing mine until he could forge it perfectly. Blood might be thicker than water, but it's not thicker than fraud. 2 weeks later, the repo man circles Madison's gleaming white SUV like a vulture eyeing its next meal. His neon yellow vest catches the morning sun as he checks the VIN number against his clipboard. Madison stands on her apartment steps, mascara running down her cheeks, clutching the repossession notice in her manicured hands. I watch from my parked Honda, remembering how she twirled those keys just weeks ago. The memory tastes bitter now, like coffee left too long on the burner. My phone buzzes. A text from Mom. Please call us. The country club declined our cards at lunch. We were humiliated in front of the Hendersons. The screen lights up again. This time it's Dad. The bank froze our home equity line. What have you done? What have I done? My fingers curl into fists. The question should be what they've done: forged signatures, drained accounts, stolen futures. The evidence sits in a thick manila folder on my passenger seat, each paper another nail in the coffin of the family I thought I had. You can't take it, Madison's voice carries across the parking lot. Daddy's lawyer will stop you. The repo man doesn't even look up from his paperwork. He's heard it all before. My phone rings. Edward Hamilton, my boss. Lauren, do you have a minute? Of course. I keep my voice steady, professional. In my rear-view mirror, I watch the tow truck back up to Madison's SUV. The board just reviewed your report on the Peterson account fraud. Impressive work catching those discrepancies. Thank you, sir. A normal day, normal words, but nothing feels normal anymore. It got me thinking. We have an opening for a senior risk analyst. The way you handled your own situation, detecting the fraud, documenting everything, taking immediate action, that's exactly what we need. Are you interested? The tow truck's chains rattle as they secure Madison's SUV. She's given up screaming and slumped onto the steps, shoulders shaking. I'd be honored, I say, meaning it. At least something good can come from this mess. Excellent. We'll discuss the details on Monday. He pauses. And Lauren? The firm has your back, whatever your family tries. The words settle like a warm blanket around my shoulders. That night, for the first time since discovering the theft, I slept through until morning. But peace never lasts long these days. Lauren, a familiar voice stops me outside church Sunday morning. Mrs. Peterson, my old Sunday school teacher, hurries over in her floral dress. I just had lunch with your mother. She's absolutely devastated. Surely there's room for forgiveness. Before I can respond, my phone chimes. A news alert. My stomach drops as I read the headline. Local woman speaks out about family abandonment. There's Madison, perfectly posed and tearful, telling Channel 4 how her successful sister turned her back on family in their time of need. The comments pour in. How heartless. Family first. Money isn't everything. They don't know about the forged documents, the drained accounts, the years of lies. Dad works fast. By Monday morning, 3 Rotary Club members had called my firm expressing concerns. But Edward just forwards their messages to legal and gives me a bigger office. The same Monday, I'm sorting files in that new office when the security desk calls. Miss Reynolds, your parents are here. Ice spreads through my veins. I didn't authorize. They're already on their way up. I hear them before I see them. Dad's heavy footsteps, Mom's heels clicking on the tile. Lauren Elizabeth. Dad's voice booms down the hallway. You will fix this mess right now. I stand, hands steady on my desk. His face is red, fists clenched. Mom hovers behind him, dabbing at dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Oh, baby, she wails, loud enough for the gathering audience of my colleagues. How could you do this to us? I didn't do anything to you. My voice comes out clear and strong. You stole from me. You forged my signature. You took my future. We're your parents. Dad takes a step forward. Sir. A deep voice cuts through the tension. Marcus from security fills my doorway. I'll need you both to leave. This is a family matter. This is a place of business. Marcus doesn't move. And these are the consequences of your choices. They escort my parents out. Through my window, I watch them cross the parking lot. Mom's shoulders shake with theatrical sobs. Dad's neck is still crimson with rage. My phone buzzes. Valerie. Robert finished installing your security system. All cameras are active. Patricia's text follows. And keys are yours whenever you need an escape. Another message. Jennifer, my old roommate. Channel 4 wants your side of the story. Ready when you are. The support surrounds me like armor, stronger than blood. A new email arrives from the fraud investigation team. First phase complete. Assets frozen. Criminal charges pending. I click through the attached photos. Madison's SUV on the auction block. The country club membership was suspended. The family home's second mortgage was exposed. The last image stops my breath. A portrait from my parents' silver anniversary. All of us were smiling. All of us are lying. I close the file and open my calendar. Dr. Wilson, my therapist, has an opening at 4. The thing about betrayal, she'll tell me later, watching me shred the anniversary photo, is that it's always done by someone you trusted. I leave her office and drive straight to Antoine's salon. Take it off, I tell him, gathering my hair into a ponytail. All of it. 10 inches of blonde history falls to the floor. That evening, a certified letter arrived. The return address makes my heart skip. Martha Reynolds Estate, Franklin Morris Attorney at Law. I trace my grandmother's name with a finger. She knew. Somehow, she knew this day would come. The letter is thick, heavy with secrets and what feels like redemption. I set it on my kitchen counter, unopened. Pour a glass of wine, watch the sunset through my new security cameras. Tomorrow, I'll read what Grandma Martha had to say. Tomorrow, I'll learn what other secrets this family holds. Tonight, I let myself feel the weight of everything lost and the unexpected strength of everything found. My short hair tickles my neck, unfamiliar and perfect. Like this new version of me emerging from the ashes of what my family burned. The next day, Franklin Morris's office suite smells like leather and old books. His mahogany desk stretches between us, covered in stacks of manila folders that chronicle 40 years of my grandmother Martha's financial wisdom. My fingers trace the gold nameplate near the edge while he opens a thick, red file. Your grandmother was quite thorough in her documentation. Franklin's wire-rimmed glasses catch the morning light as he spreads photographs across the polished wood. Bank statements. Property deeds. Loan applications with forged signatures that match my parents' handwriting perfectly. She began collecting evidence 7 years ago. The air leaves my lungs. Before I started at Hamilton and Associates. Martha knew Thomas and Diane's patterns. He taps a particular photo of me father signing my name on a second mortgage application. She watched them drain your college fund when you were 16. That's when she created the trust. My voice cracks. She never said anything. She couldn't. Franklin reaches for a remote control. Not until now. The wall-mounted television flickers to life. My grandmother appears, seated in her favorite armchair. The blue cardigan I gave her for Christmas drapes her shoulders. The timestamp reads 2 months before her death. Lauren, sweetheart. Her familiar voice fills the room. If you're watching this, they finally did what I feared. Your father learned his financial habits from watching his father destroy our family's security. I spent 30 years rebuilding what your grandfather gambled away. I watched Thomas do the same to your mother's inheritance, and now they've done it to you. My chest tightens. On screen, Martha adjusts her reading glasses. But I prepared for this day. The trust is ironclad, they can't touch it no matter what they try. Inside you'll find everything you need, proof of their previous frauds, documentation of the patterns, and resources to protect yourself. Franklin will guide you through the legal proceedings. The video pauses on her face. Her eyes, so like mine, stare through the screen. Franklin slides a business card across the desk. Detective Rivera is expecting your call. She specializes in financial crimes. My phone buzzes. A text from Madison. They're selling everything. Dad says he'll find a way around the account freezing. Your grandmother also left instructions about Madison. Franklin pulls out another folder. She believed your sister was as much a victim as an accomplice. Before he can continue, his office door swings open. A woman in a charcoal pantsuit strides in, badge glinting at her hip. Mr. Morris, Miss Reynolds. She extends her hand. Detective Rivera, I brought Agent Johnson from the Federal Banking Commission. Your evidence crosses state lines. Agent Johnson follows, his tablet displaying familiar spreadsheets, my careful documentation of every unauthorized transaction. Miss Reynolds, your financial forensics is impressive. Most victims don't maintain such detailed records. I'm an accountant. The words come out automatically while my mind spins. Federal investigation. State lines. The scope keeps expanding. Detective Rivera places a thick manila envelope on Franklin's desk. We're filing charges today. Identity theft, wire fraud, conspiracy. My phone buzzes again. Madison. Mom's in the hospital. Says she's having chest pains. Your mother's timing is interesting. Agent Johnson remarks, glancing at my phone screen. We've seen this pattern before. Health emergencies tend to manifest when charges are imminent. 2 hours later, Franklin's computer chimes with an email alert. Your parents' attorney has withdrawn representation. He adjusts his glasses. The evidence packet we sent this morning apparently violated his ethical comfort zone. Another buzz. Unknown number. Lauren, this is Pastor Stevens. Your parents are devastated. Surely we can find a path to forgiveness without involving authorities. I silence my phone, remembering Sunday dinners, family vacations, the proud smiles at my graduation. The memories blur against the stack of evidence proving every moment might have been built on theft. The newspaper article comes out tomorrow. Agent Johnson scrolls through his tablet. Your friend Jennifer wrote it? Yes. My throat tightens. She interviewed their friends, their victims, other people they've borrowed from. The community's already shifting. Detective Rivera's tone softens. 3 members of your father's Rotary Club called our tip line. Your mother's tennis partners are reviewing their joint investment accounts. My phone lights up with a restricted number. I answer the speaker. Lauren? Madison's voice shakes. I'll tell you everything. The car was Dad's idea, but I knew about the accounts. They said you owed us because you were successful. That family shares everything. She pauses. I knew it was wrong. I didn't stop them. I just ended the call. Franklin pulls out one final envelope. Your grandmother left specific instructions about Madison. A path to redemption, with conditions. I stare at my sister's name written in Martha's elegant script. Even now, 2 years gone, my grandmother is still protecting me, still offering wisdom from beyond. There's something else. Franklin stands, moving to a painting on his office wall. It swings away from the wall, revealing a wall safe. The combination clicks under his fingers. Your grandmother left property in Colorado, a cabin near Estes Park. Your parents tried to access it last year, but the trust provisions blocked them. He withdraws a thick portfolio. There's also an investment account. She called it your Freedom Fund. The note says, for when you discover the truth about your parents. For when you need to rebuild. My fingers trace Martha's handwriting on the envelope. The woman who taught me to balance a checkbook at 12, who praised my first savings account, who showed me that independence meant having the power to say nosh, saw everything coming. She built me a lifeboat before I knew I was sinking. Detective Rivera's handcuffs gleam on her belt, a steel reminder that justice comes with pain. Agent Johnson's tablet displays my family's financial web, each thread tied to my stolen trust. Madison's text glows on my silenced phone, the first truth she's offered in years. Franklin hands me a pen. Your grandmother believed some wounds need more than time to heal. They need truth, consequences, and the courage to rebuild. He taps the signature line. The choice is yours. I uncap the pen, my grandmother's voice echoing in my memory. Money is never just about money, Lauren. It's about power, truth, and who we become when we're tested. The paper feels cool under my hand as I sign my name, choosing justice over silence, truth over family fiction, my grandmother's legacy of strength over my parents' legacy of lies. 2 weeks later, in the courtroom and confrontation, the fluorescent lights of Conference Room B cast harsh shadows across my father's face as he leaned forward. fingers curled into fists on the polished oak table. "We gave you life," he spits, spittle gathering at the corners of his mouth. "Everything you have is because of us." Behind him, our family attorney shifts uncomfortably in his chair, tugging at his collar. The court-mandated meeting stretches before us like a minefield of unspoken accusations. I smooth my hands over the leather portfolio in front of me, letting my fingertips trace the embossed initials LER, a gift from Edward when I made department head last month. The weight of the evidence inside anchors me to reality. Life isn't a blank check, Dad. My voice stays steady, practiced from hours of preparation with Dr. Wilson. Neither is love. Madison sits between our parents, her designer purse now replaced by a knockoff from the outlet mall. Her mascara leaves faint smudges under her eyes. For the first time since this nightmare began, she looks her age. "I knew," she whispers, her voice cracking, "about the withdrawals, the loans." Her fingers twist a tissue into confetti. "They said you owed us. That you had so much, and we had so little, and family shares everything." Mother's hand shoots out to grab Madison's arm, but Judge Catherine Simmons' voice cuts through the air like a whip. "Mrs. Reynolds, you are instructed not to interfere with witness statements." I open the portfolio, pulling out the first of many spreadsheets. The paper trembles slightly as I lay it on the table. First unauthorized withdrawal, the 15th of March, 2019. $800 from my personal checking account. Reason listed: Madison's spring break emergency. Reality: Mom's country club membership dues. Page after page follows. Each number, each date, each forged signature building a monument to betrayal. The rustling papers sound like autumn leaves, dry, dead things that once meant family. Second mortgage on the Reynolds family home, co-signed by Lauren E. Reynolds on the 3rd of December, 2022. My finger traces the signature that looks nothing like mine. Funny how I was in Seattle that week for a conference. Here's my hotel receipt and boarding pass. The color drains from my father's face as his kingdom of lies crumbles. Mother's perfect French manicure taps against the table, each click marking another second of her performance slipping away. Judge Simmons reviews the evidence in her chambers while we wait, the silence heavy with unspoken words. Madison's tissue pile grows. Dad's lawyer keeps checking his phone, probably already planning his exit strategy. Mother stares straight ahead, her spine rigid with pride that's about to be expensive. When the judge returns, her face gives nothing away. The evidence of systematic financial fraud is overwhelming. She adjusts her reading glasses. Full restitution is ordered in the amount of $198,422.36. The number hangs in the air like a guillotine blade. Additionally, Thomas and Diane Reynolds will face criminal charges for identity theft, fraud, and financial exploitation. Miss Madison Reynolds, in light of your cooperation and age at the onset of these activities, you are offered a plea deal including community service and partial restitution. Mother's sob sounds more like a hiccup. Dad's fists unclench, leaving half-moon marks in his palms. News travels fast in Longmont. By evening, their church had quietly removed them from the leadership board. The gossip at the country club they can no longer afford spreads like wildfire through the locker rooms and across the manicured greens. Madison's Instagram post appears that night. The truth about financial abuse and my part in it. A thread. Her confession splits our family's social circle like lightning striking a tree. My phone buzzes with messages from strangers. Other victims. Other daughters and sons who checked their accounts too late, who trusted too long, who didn't want to believe. The mortgage approval letter for my new home arrives the same day as the letter from Uncle William. His words splash across the page like cool water. "I always knew my brother would go too far. I'm sorry I didn't warn you. Let me know if you need anything." Dr. Wilson's office feels smaller the next day as I sink into the familiar leather armchair. They want me at the sentencing next week. She lets the silence stretch, knowing I'll fill it. Part of me wants to watch, to see them face consequences for once in their lives. My fingers find a loose thread on the armrest. The other part wants to protect them still? Wants to be free of them. The truth burns coming out, but it burns clean. The evening sun paints my new porch in shades of gold as I turn the key for the first time. Inside, the walls echo with possibility rather than history. My grandmother's photo takes pride of place in the entryway. Her knowing smile is a reminder that at least one person in my family saw clearly enough to protect me. I leave an empty chair at my dining room table. Not for hope, not for forgiveness, but as a reminder that sometimes the family you're born with isn't the family you deserve. A card arrives on my birthday. No signature, but I recognize my mother's handwriting on the envelope. Inside, a blank space where love used to live. I pin it to my bulletin board at work, next to the newspaper clipping about financial abuse awareness and the thank you notes from my literacy students at the community center. A reminder that sometimes telling the truth costs everything and sets you free. 6 months later, the autumn sunlight streams through my kitchen windows, catching the crystal bowl where I've arranged freshly picked apples from the farmer's market. Steam rises from the turkey I've just pulled from the oven, its skin golden and crisp. The scent of sage and rosemary fills every corner of my new home. Lauren, these place settings are gorgeous. Valerie adjusts a napkin ring, her silver bracelet catching the light. Your grandmother would have loved seeing her china being used properly. I smile, running my fingers along the delicate blue pattern that graced so many Reynolds family dinners. Martha always said good china was meant for people who appreciate its value. Robert appears in the doorway, his tall frame filling the space. Speaking of appreciation, Edward just called. He's bringing that spiced cranberry sauce you loved at the office party. My chosen family arrives in waves. Patricia sweeps in wearing a rust-colored sweater, carrying her famous sweet potato casserole. Edward follows shortly after, his white hair slightly wind-blown, cranberry sauce secure in its crystal dish. Each arrival feels like another stitch mending the torn fabric of my world. The doorbell chimes at precisely 2 o'clock. My heart skips as I open the door to find Madison standing there, gripping a ceramic dish like a shield. Her hair is shorter now, practical rather than fashionable, no designer purse in sight. I made green bean casserole, she says, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. From scratch, not cans, I've been practicing. The words carry more weight than just a description of her cooking. 6 months of sobriety from financial chaos. 6 months of honest work and living within her means. 6 months of rebuilding trust, one small deposit at a time. I step aside to let her in. There's space on the counter next to the rolls. Her eyes catch on the empty chairs at the far end of the table. Spaces where our parents might have sat if Thomas hadn't chosen pride over accountability. If Diane's tentative steps toward amends had been more than empty words. The conversation flows easier than I expected. Patricia describes her latest real estate triumph. Robert shares stories about the cybersecurity classes he's teaching at the community center. Valerie's laugh rings out as Edward recounts a client's creative attempt to explain a suspicious tax deduction. Madison sits quietly at first, but slowly joins in. When she mentions her promotion at the bookstore, her voice carries pride instead of entitlement. The word earned has replaced deserved in her vocabulary. Between dinner and dessert, I slip away to my office. Martha's letter hangs framed on the wall, her elegant handwriting a reminder that someone saw the truth long before I did. Truth costs everything and sets you free. Below it sits a small photo of my financial literacy class at the community center, faces bright with newfound understanding. The podcast about family financial abuse has grown into a movement. 3 more support groups have started in neighboring towns. The scholarship fund for accounting students who've survived financial fraud now has enough donations for 2 full rides next semester. Lauren? Madison appears in the doorway, less certain here than in the dining room. Everyone's ready for pie, but I wanted to. She takes a deep breath. Thank you for not giving up on me completely, for showing me there's a difference between enabling and supporting. The words settle between us like autumn leaves, delicate but real. You did the work, I told her. You're still doing it. Back in the dining room, laughter mingles with the clink of coffee cups against saucers. The late afternoon sun paints everything in shades of amber and gold, so different from the harsh fluorescent lights of courtrooms and lawyers' offices. I serve the pumpkin pie on Martha's dessert plates, the one she taught me to hand wash when I was barely tall enough to reach the sink. The empty frame on my wall catches my eye, the one waiting for a new definition of family to fill it. Looking around my table, I see the truth she tried to teach me. Family isn't always who shares your blood. Sometimes it's the friends who bring cranberry sauce and tough love. Sometimes it's the sister who learns to stand on her own 2 feet. Sometimes it's the grandmother who leaves you not just her china, but a legacy of seeing clearly and loving anyway. The dishes can wait. Right now, the sound of genuine laughter fills my home, and for the first time in over a year, I laugh with them, full and free.